All righty. Well, good morning, friends. I'm going to start standing up, and we'll start by focusing on our toes down at our mats. So opening them nice and wide, and then just giving them a lot of space, spreading them out, and then beginning at our pinky toes, pressing each little piggy down into our mats so that as we press them down, we still keep them pretty wide, giving them a little bit of space, pressing into those toes, pressing into our heels, and then just barely lifting in those arches. Good. So we're using all of our little toes, we're using our heels, archers are lifting, and then we're going to begin to grow from there. Growing out of our ankles, out of our shins. We'll soften those knees, activate the thighs, the glutes, that tummy. We lift the heart, pull the shoulders back. Hands can reach down toward the floor, helping those shoulders move away from the ears. And then, like there's a string pulling us from the top of the head, lifting straight from the crown. And close our eyes if we like. Take a few deep breaths here and check in with how we're feeling at this moment in time. Breathe in, and we'll open up those ribs, filling up our lungs. Exhale, let that tummy relax. Good. And now, inhale, let's lift those hands up to the sky. Open the fingers, give them a little bit of the treatment, pulling the shoulders back, moving those hands back a little bit further. Good. And then exhale, we'll soften the knees, hinge at the hips, and then just slowly fold forward, keeping those knees bent nice and deeply, rounding in the back. Good. And then slowly, let's round and roll our way up. Hands come up high again. And now little teeny tiny back bend. So we'll lift the heart a little bit further. Hips come forward. Arms go back just a tiny bit. Good. And then exhale again. Fold forward. Bend at the knees. Round in the back. Good. Inhale. Let's roll our way up. Good. Bringing those hands to prayer at our hearts, and we'll step back. Doesn't really matter what foot. We're going to open our legs up nice and wide. Our toes are pointing out at an angle. Good. And we'll bring those elbows back to our shoulder or to our ribs. Inhale. Let's lift them up nice and high. And then exhale, bringing them back down to the ribs, sitting down into our squat. Good. And then inhale, we'll come up. And exhale, lowering down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Just moving with our breath at our own pace. Not forcing anything. Just lowering and lifting. Warming up those hips, the shoulders, connecting our movements with our breath. Good, let's do a couple more. Good, inhale. Now this time, let's do a big circle with our arms. We'll sit down into that squat and then hinge at the hips, bending forward as if we're leaning over to pick up our big bundle of sunflowers. Exhaling down. Inhaling up, lowering and hinging. Good, a couple more, lowering down, lifting high, 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 lifting from that pelvic floor. Good, inhaling all the way up into a big starfish. And then exhale, let's lower down into that squat, elbows to our ribs, palms facing to the sky this time. Good, and now let's place those hands on our thighs. Support that back, and we'll just do little twist. So we'll lower one shoulder down ever so slightly, and then come back up over to the other side. Little twist. Good, and back. Couple more times each side. Just warm up that spine. Get it moving. Good. And then we'll meet back at the center. Good. Inhale, nice and high again. Good. And now exhale, let's do a wide-legged forward fold. Hang the head. Support with those hands. Even bend the knees if we need. Good. Inhale, let's lift up high. Good. Hands come to prayer again. Let's point toward the front of our mat. We'll step forward. Inhale, lifting high. And then exhale, let's sit down into our chair. Good. Inhale, big circles with those arms as we lift. And big circles again as we lower. Good. Inhaling up. And exhaling down, just moving again with our breath. We're just getting those big muscle groups going, getting our joints moving around. Breathing deeply as we flow through our chair. Good. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And now inhaling up nice and tall. And this time we'll sit down into our chair and we'll hold chair for a few breaths. And get that breath down into our tummies, into our sides. Good. Inhaling nice and high. Exhale, let's fold forward. Good. Inhale to a flat back so hands can come to our shins or to our thighs. Pull the shoulders back, looking forward, long spines, long legs. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat. Let's step back with our left foot. Little lunge here. Good. Stepping back with the right. Let's wiggle our way into our downward facing dog. Pressing into our fingers. Pressing into our toes. Pedaling the legs. And then once we're done wiggling, pressing into those fingers, pulling our shoulders away from our wrists, from our ears. Lengthening all the way down to our tails, lifting those tails up to the sky, bending the knees. And then begin to press the heels down in towards our mat. Good. Let's go. Inhale forward into a little bit of a plank. Plank can be on our toes, can be on our knees. Exhale, lowering that chest down all the way down to our mat. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Pulling those shoulders back when we're ready. Inhaling, our chest comes forward and then up into a baby cobra. Good. Tucking the toes, let's press back to our downward facing dog. Let's lift up the right leg. We'll step forward into a lunge. Good. And then we'll step forward with the left into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, lifting all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, Tadasana, hands to our sides, pulling those shoulders back. Good. Inhale, lifting high. Good. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, back down to our fold, hands find the floor, stepping back with our right foot into our lunge. Good, stepping back, downward facing dog. Good, inhaling forward into our plank. Exhaling all the way down to our tummies and chests. Pulling those shoulders back, bringing the chest forward and then up into a little cobra. And then tucking the toes, pressing into our hands. Let's go back to our downward facing dog. Good. Let's lift that left leg up high. And we'll step forward into our lunge. And then into our fold with the right foot. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. Inhaling all the way up high. Good. Exhaling, hands come down to Tadasana. Good. Let's stay here for 2 full breaths. Body is still active and strong. Big breaths, feeling that breath go all the way down into that torso, into our hips. Good. Inhale, let's lift up high. Good. Exhale, let's bring those knees and thighs together. We'll sit down into our chair. Holding that chair. Long backs, low butts, proud chests. Good. Inhaling all the way up. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, hands find the floor. Let's step back with that left foot into our lunge. Left hand will stay on the floor. Right hand comes up, little twist. And back down to our lunge, looking forward, long backs, long legs behind us. Good, stepping back, downward facing dog. Good, inhale forward into a plank. Exhale, let's lower down. And now, if we would like, we can do baby cobra again, or we can come up to upward facing dog. Good, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, pressing back. Downward facing dog. Good. Let's lift that right leg up high. We're going to kick ourselves in the butt, opening up that hip to the right. Good. And then slowly we'll step forward into our lunge. From here, let's find our balance. Hands will come up to a high lunge. Good. Sinking those hips down, tucking the tail, keeping those shoulders over the hips. Good. Let's open up warrior two, dropping that left heel back behind us. Good. Inhale. Let's lift up that right hand, drop the left for reverse warrior. And then let's bring that right arm down to the thigh, lifting the left for side angle. Good. Back up to reverse warrior. Good. Let's cartwheel those hands all the way down to our mats, and we'll step forward into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Bending the knees, inhaling all the way up. Good. Exhale, little back bend here. Cactus arms, opening up that chest. Good. Inhaling up. And now let's bring those arms back behind us for a chest expansion. A little bit more so we can hold that big ball behind us. Hands can come back behind. We can hold on. Good. Gently we'll release. Inhaling, lifting high. Let's sit down into our chair. Good. Let's bring those hands behind us for Eddie the Eagle. Good. Hands come back up. And let's go straight down to our forward fold from here. Good. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale. Let's bring that right foot back for our lunge. Good. Right hand will stay on the floor. Left hand comes up to the sky. A little twist. And back down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, let's come forward to our plank. Exhale, we'll lower all the way down and inhale into our choice of back bend. Cobra, upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back for downward facing dog. Good. Let's lift up that left leg again. We'll open up the hip, kick ourselves in the bum. And then we'll step forward into our lunge on this side. When we're ready, we'll lift those hands up nice and high for a high lunge. And now let's drop that right heel, open ourselves up for warrior two. Bending that left knee. And then moving it out toward the pinky toe. So when we glance down at our knee, we can still see our big toe sticking out inside of our knee. Shoulders are down, lifting inside the thighs. Good. Let's lift that left hand, drop the right for reverse warrior. And now lowering down to side angle. So left arm can come down to the thigh, right hand can come up to the sky, or we can reach up over our head for extended side angle. Keep opening those shoulders up so we can look toward the sky. Good. Inhale, reverse warrior. Good. Cartwheel those hands down. Let's step forward to our fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, folding a little bit further. And then bending those knees, rounding as we come up. Good. Exhaling Tadasana. Hands come to our sides. Pull those shoulders back. Keep those glutes working, those thighs and core working. Good. Inhale. Lift those hands up high. Exhale. Cactus arms. Lift the chest. Then look up to the sky a little bit. Create a big crescent in our back. Good. Inhaling up. Let's bring those arms back for a chest expansion. We can clasp our hands, or we can even grab those the elbows and pull the shoulders back if we would like. Yeah, gently we'll release those hands. Inhale, nice and high. And let's sit down into that chair. Good. Eddie the Eagle. Bring those arms back behind us. Sit down. Tuck that tail. Open up. Feel if we're being strong. Good. Hands up high. And then forward fold. Good. Flat back, long legs. Exhale, we'll fold. And we'll step back with our left foot. I'm going to switch sides. Left foot goes back into our lunge. Good. And now we're going to drop that left heel behind us and open ourselves up for warrior two again. Sinking down. Finding our alignment, finding our strength, pressing into both feet, lifting, sinking, lengthening, reaching, breathing. Good. Reverse warrior. Let's lift up that right hand. Good. And then let's work into our triangle. So our right hand will come out in front. We'll straighten that right leg. Left hip goes back. We reach, 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 reach. And then we'll lower the right arm. Lift up the left. Keep pulling those hips away from that right foot. Beautiful. Let's come all the way back up to reverse warrior. Cartwheeling those hands all the way down to the floor, into our lunge. And then we're going to bring our fingertips just barely in front of our toes. Press into that right foot, and we're going to lift that left foot back behind us for a 3-point balance. Pressing that left heel back behind, turning the toes down toward the floor so that the hip is meeting the right hip. Good. And then slowly we're going to bend that right knee, come back down to our lunge. Lift those hands up for a high lunge. Good. Let's bring those arms back behind us, lean forward. So we're almost going to get all of that weight off of that left foot. Right foot's holding most of our weight. Good. And then back to our high lunge. Evening out our weight. Good. Let's do that again. Hands go back. Leaning forward. We'll go all the way to that tippy, tippy toe. Good, and back to our high lunge. And now let's place those hands back down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Good, inhale forward into our plank. Exhale, let's lower ourselves down. Inhale to a back bend. Cobra or upward facing dog. Let's tuck those toes, lift the hips. Find our downward facing dog again. Good, and then we can walk or step or jump to the top of our mat to a forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold a little bit more. Let's bend those knees and roll our way up. Good. From here, little back bend, cactus arms, lifting the heart. Back up to the top. And then a chest expansion. Let's pull those arms back behind us, pull the shoulders, lift the heart nice and tight in our tummy and in our back. Gently release those hands, lifting them high. Let's sit down into our chair. Good, arms go back behind. And then up again. Folding forward. Lifting to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. Let's step back with that right foot into our lunge. And then we'll lower that right heel and we'll come on up for our warrior two. Strong feet, strong legs, strong core, relaxed shoulders, long neck. Let's lift up that left hand, reverse warrior. Good, and now let's work our way into triangle pose. So straightening that left leg, pulling the hips all the way back away, reaching forward. Create lots of length in those ribs. And then we'll lower the hand down, raise up our right hand. Still lifting the ribs away from this left thigh, pulling the hips away, stacking the shoulders. Beautiful. Let's come all the way back up to reverse warrior. Good. Let's cartwheel those hands back down. Fingers go right in front of those toes. We'll do our 3-point balance. So press into the left foot to lift the right. If we need help, we can use blocks, a wall, our couch. Pressing that right heel away will actually get the lift that we want without opening up those hips. So keep pressing that right foot away, 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 pointing the toes. And now let's soften that left knee, come all the way back down to our lunge. Find our balance, and then we'll lift up to our high lunge. Good, and now let's bring those arms back behind us. Lean forward so that most of our weight goes into that right foot, but not quite. And then back to our high lunge. Let's do that again. Leaning forward. And back to our high lunge. Good. Third time's a charm. Leaning forward, shifting that weight. Good. Back to our high lunge. And then hands come down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into our plank. Exhale, let's lower down. Inhale into our back bend. Good. And now from here, let's lower those knees down to the floor. We'll press back to a child's pose. Rounding in the spine. Sinking those hips down towards our heels. Good. Let's walk our hands over to one side. And then we'll walk our hands over to the other side. And then back to the center. Take one full breath here. Good. Let's inhale up. We'll bring our left foot forward into a baby lunge. The foot will find its spot to the outside of our hands. Good. Now let's exhale back to a half split. So our hips will go back over our heels. Our left toes will point toward the sky. Folding forward, hinging at the hips. Good. Inhale. Let's come back to that little lunge. And then from here, let's come up to a high half lunge. So lifting our hands, we can even place them on our thigh if we need. And now let's bring our hands to our hearts. Pressing into those palms, pulling the shoulders back, sinking into that lunge. Inhale, we lengthen. And then exhale, we're going to take this right elbow all the way around to this left thigh or knee. Good, and then we'll slowly unwind. Hands can find the floor. We're going to keep that right hand on the floor. We're going to reach back, find our foot with our left. Pull that heel back in toward our butt. Good. Gently we'll release. We don't want to flap our foot down to the floor. Hands find our mat. We'll come back all the way back to our child's pose. Big breath here. Good. And then as we inhale, let's come forward. We'll bring that right foot to the outside of our hands. sink down into that lunge. Let's bring our chest forward instead of down. Let's look out to the distance. Good, and then as we exhale, let's walk our way backwards for a half split. Toes point to the sky. We're hinging at the hips so we're nice and flat on our back still. Good, inhale, let's come forward. And then we'll lift up to our high lunge so hands can come to the thighs, or we can even raise our hands up to the sky, whichever we like. Let's bring our hands to our hearts. Lengthen in that spine. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, let's go into our twist. So elbow on the left side will come all the way around to the right, pressing into those palms to help move those shoulders. On our inhales, we lengthen. On our exhales, we twist. Keep sinking those hips down into our lunge. Good, and then slowly we'll unwind. Hands find the floor for just a moment. And then we'll keep that left hand on the floor, right hand will reach back to find our foot for corkscrew pose. This is a great way to get our quads. If this is tough for us, we can back ourselves up against the wall and use our wall to hold our foot, or the couch. Have somebody else hold it. Good, and then we'll gently lower that buddy down. Hands come to the floor. Let's step back, child's pose. Let's open up those knees nice and wide though in the child's pose. Sink down, let the chest lower even further. So from here, our arms can stay out long, out in front of us. Or if we would like, we can turn those palms up toward the sky. It changes our shoulders ever so slightly, get a different sensation in those shoulders. We can also place the elbows to the floor and bring our hands to prayer back behind our head, which will bring this stretch into our triceps. Good. Let's lower those hands back down to the floor. We'll swish our feet over to one side. We'll help ourselves onto our bottoms. Swing those legs out in front of us. We can give them a little shake if we need. Good. And then from here, we'll just bring those legs out in front of us into a staff pose. You notice I'm walking my tail back behind us. So what I'm trying to do is tilt that pelvis forward just a little bit. So I'm already encouraging that hinge. Good. We lengthen our spine and then we can walk our hands down our legs or down our mat as we slowly fold forward. Bringing our chests towards our shins. Good. One more inhale, we lengthen. Exhale. We'll deepen that fold just a little bit more. And at the very, very end of that exhale, let's release our head and round the back. And then the next inhale, we can roll our way up. We'll bend our knees, roll up into our ball, and we'll rock our way back onto our backs. We can rock forward and backward if we like. And once we've got those wiggles out, we can roll up into our little egg, hug those knees into our chest really, really tight. Then we're going to place this left foot down onto our mats. We're going to hold onto our right knee for just a little bit. Hug it tight, 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 tight. And then we're just going to cross that right ankle over the left knee. So right here, thinking about moving that right knee away from our body, keeping a lot of space in between our chest and our leg. We'll start here. Take a couple of breaths, focusing on that knee, opening away. And then when we're ready, we can begin to lift that left leg up off of the floor. Our hands can thread through and hold on to the thigh if we would like. And even use this right elbow to kind of touch that knee to keep it from moving in. Big breaths. Good. And now we're just going to release that left leg. Keep the cross in our legs. Keep moving that right knee away from our body. Our hands can find the floor for just a little bit. As we move both of those legs crisscrossed around all the way over to the left side for a goofy twist that feels amazing. Keep thinking about lengthening in that right femur for 2 more breaths. Good. And then we'll slowly come back to the center. We'll unwind and we'll bring our knees into our chest. We'll keep holding on to that right shin and let that left leg sit nice and long, holding the right knee into our chest, lengthening the left down here on our mats. Good. And then bringing the left knee in, nice and tight. And now we'll release that right leg, place the foot on the floor, hug the left knee into our chest for just another little bit. And then we're just gonna move on, do this whole thing over again on the other side. Good. Crossing that left foot over the right knee. And then again, moving that left knee away from our body, relaxing our shoulders on the ground. See if we can get that low back to melt into our mat as well. But opening up that left knee, flexing the foot. Stay here for a couple of breaths first so that we're getting the hips situated where we want it before we up the ante by bringing that right leg up. When we're ready, we'll bring that right knee in towards us. We'll hold behind the thigh. You can even use that left elbow just to kind of make a stopper for the knee. Slowly bring that right leg towards us, which will bring the left ankle with, as it is all connected right now. Take deep breaths into our tummy. We'll stay here for a couple more breaths. Good. And then we'll release that right leg down to our mat. Keep the legs crossed. Again, moving that left knee away. Arms can find the floor, palms up, shoulders melt into our mats. When we're ready, just bringing those legs over to the right. One more breath here. Lengthen in that femur. Relax into the twist. And then we'll come back to the center. We'll unwind, bring those knees in. Then we'll hold on to that left shin, tight, 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 tight into our body. And then the right leg will come out long. Good. And then bringing both knees into our chest. Roll up into our little ball. Let's lift those feet up to the sky. Try and touch our toes if we'd like, or we can hold behind our calves or our thighs. And then with our hands, we can reach up to the sky and wiggle our fingers and our toes. We can move around in those wrists and ankles. One last little wiggle. And then as we exhale, slowly lowering them down to the mat, making ourselves as long as we possibly can. Reaching those hands above our heads, lengthening those legs below our hips. And then one final big exhale. We can just let everything release. And we find a comfortable position for our Shavasana, whether our legs are out long, or we bend our knees, and even cross our legs or go into a bound angle. Find what is comfortable for you, that you can stay here for a while in stillness. Making sure that we give ourselves permission to just do nothing. With every breath, our body softens and relaxes just a little bit more. Begin to deepen our breath. We'll wiggle our fingers and our toes. We slowly come back into our space. Listen to our body and we give it what it needs right now. Wiggle or stretch. And when we're ready, we'll roll up into our little ball. We'll rock over onto our side. And slowly help ourselves up to seated. Our eyes are closed. And we bring our focus inward. Check in with how we're feeling after our practice. Inhaling, we lift our hands up to the sky, bringing them together at the top. Then we'll exhaling them down to our hearts with the purpose of expressing gratitude to ourselves. To give us thanks for all the gifts that we gave ourselves this morning. I am oh so grateful to have the honor of being able to share my practice with you today. I hope that it made you feel a little bit better, a little stronger, a bit more open. I wish you all a fabulous rest of your day and a great rest of your week. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether virtually or physically, we are one. Namaste.